Testimony continued today in the most notorious criminal trial in Richland County. Dr. John Boyle is accused of killing his wife Maureen and burying her body.
The 12-year-old son finally took the stand.
Boyle confidently told the jury it was his decision to testify against his father.
I heard a scream. I heard a thud. It was about this loud.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
I decided at an early age that our trauma should not be what defines us. It's what we choose to do with it that does. I'm here to share my unique perspective on true crime, mental health, society, and popular culture, and always with a slight sense of humor. I'm Collier Landry, and welcome to my show. Mover Nation, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, I don't feel good. Happened about 3 minutes before I was supposed to start this show. I was like, I don't feel good. I think I have food poisoning. I went to El Torito last night with a friend, and she was like, should we go get gross, nasty Mexican food? And I said, sure, why not? Not a wise decision, my friends. Not a wise decision at all. Because I do not feel good. How is everybody doing? Mover Nation, welcome. Sorry for the too much information, but this is what I'm dealing with today. I was telling, thank you to Karen Fan, who let everybody know that I was infirmed, if you will, temporarily infirmed. I appreciate that. And again, I was talking to her earlier, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. It's been a wacky week. And she's like, just share what's going on in your life. So that is currently what is going on in my life. El Torito food poisoning. I don't know what it's from either. I did not eat the shrimp. Just know that. For those of you that didn't know, you can catch a really nasty virus from eating shrimp that might not be properly prepared. So I know it's not from that. I had a friend that had dealt with that for like 3 years or something. It's a bad thing. And Marisol is downstairs running around, and she's not pleased. So anyways, here I am. Hello, Zet. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you for your membership. Let me say hi to everyone. Hi, Casey Lee. Hi, Hound Doggy. Happy birthday to the granddaughters. Let's see here. Black Widower, welcome. Is it your birthday as well? We got birthdays in the house. Oh, quick housekeeping. Tonight, if you are a channel member, and thank you so much, Zet, for giving 5 gifted memberships. Guys, you can sign up for those right here. We have, let me see here. Slides. Oh, come on. Is this not here? Oh, I see where it is. Okay. Oh, nope. We're going to remove that because that's not supposed to be there. This is it. Tonight, August 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All channel members, Patreon supporters. Ow. Ow, that hurt. Oh. Sorry, that was my foot hitting my barbell underneath my desk. My toe being stubbed. A lot going on. A lot of I don't know, flaws happening. A lot of issues happening today. Clearly, channel members, we are doing our live version of Collier's AV Club. It's the second Sunday of every month where we screen a documentary or a TV show that I think is relevant to all of us. We get to watch it together. It is very, very cool. It is a good time, and we are going to watch tonight. We're going to see The Social Dilemma, which came out in 2020. I have talked about this film a lot lately. As the election is approaching, as social media, obviously permeates all of our lives, and this is one of those documentaries that is very scary, but it's very informative. Helps you really understand. It focuses around the 2016 election, misinformation that was around that, how that was proliferated by the internet, and then also and by social media, but also the Cambridge Analytica hack that happened and how all of that information was misused as well, people's personal data, etc. Covers a lot of different things. It is very, very informative, and very interesting on how a small microcosm of the population can affect such big change, which is a amazing thing if you're trying to do positive stuff. But if you are, I just saw the mute. I thought, oh man, am I talking and nobody's hearing me? Oy vey. That would have been that would have capped it all. That would have capped it off, I think. Happy Sunday. Bye, Zet. Thank you so much. But anyways, so what was I saying? It's very interesting to see how the power of that also affects the power of social change that you want to see in the world around you. Of course, we talked about this a lot recently with those of you that were upset about the verdict in the Ashley Benefield trial and how that affected. And I said, hey, look, we can talk about how politicians are affected by these types of things as well, and how we can hold people accountable, changing the laws, those things. And the social dilemma talks not necessarily about that in political sense, but in how mass social media can be utilized. I don't want to say weaponized. It can also be weaponized, but it can be utilized in a way that is very powerful and impactful, whether it be for the right or the wrong reasons. So that is a thing, and we will watch that together. Sorry, I'm sweating. I don't feel good, so it just hit me. It just hit me about, as I said, 3 minutes before the live. I thought, oh. Anyways, I don't want to rehash that. We're all about solutions, not problems on this channel. Anyways, so that's what's going on. That's what's going on. What do you think? Karen, and you all, and all you great mods. Yes, Daffodil, for sure. Only 19 have hit the like button. Come on, hit that like button, guys. Hit that like button. I appreciate it. I guess I'll take away the social dilemma. Check it out. It's happening in 2 hours. What is it? 6:15 Eastern time. So happening at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I will be there as well. Daffodil. And I can see Daffodil's face too. Look at this. Look at those big glasses. I love it. Yeah. Anyways, I don't have anything really exciting to report other than not feeling great. No, I do. Lots of things are happening. Lots of big interviews are coming to the channel. I'm going to be on some big channels as well, which I'm very excited about. I'm also working on a new podcast that's coming out soon, finalizing some details on that, centering around my story, which is interesting, and that's happening. And I'm sort of back on track with getting a few things rolling. There will be some new content that I am very excited about as well. And maybe shifting our direction again to not focus necessarily solely on true crime, and getting back to other things that interest me as well. Did everyone watch the Olympics? Because if you did not know, and if you are lucky enough to be in Paris, which I was very envious of those that were able to be there, but in 4 years from now, we will be having those literally out my window here in beautiful sunny Los Angeles, California. I am really excited about that. I remember being at the party. I was at the party when they were trying to bring the Olympics here in 2007 at Paul Allen's house, who was one of the co-founders of Microsoft. He has since passed away, but he was a musician, and he had these amazing houses here in Los Angeles and probably around the world. Actually, he was a founder of Microsoft, for crying out loud. But he had this party and had all these like very elite Los Angelinos, and it was very cool. So to see it actually come to fruition 17 years later, or no, sorry, that would be 21 years later at that time. So it was 2007, so it'll be 2028. We will have the Olympics here. I'm very excited. I can't wait to be here and check it out. I will be in another decade of my life probably by that time. But yeah, I'm excited. So did everyone get to watch the Olympics is my question. Team USA men's basketball won third gold medal in a row. I'm a big basketball fan, so I was excited to see that. LeBron James, probably my favorite player. almost 40 years old, played better than pretty much everybody on the planet, which is just kind of astonishing because he'll be 40 in like 4 months. And the women's basketball team won their 8th gold medal in a row, exercising their dominance over the rest of the world. I don't think the men's basketball team will have that kind of dominance because the NBA is becoming so globalized now that we won't see it. But yeah, 2028 Olympics here in Los Angeles. I will hopefully have a front row seat to that. I was working Laguna during the 1984 Olympics and watched the cycling in Mission Viejo. Oh, that's very cool. Oh yeah, so I guess the Olympics were here in 1984 as well. That's right. So that's what, 44 years later. I forgot the Olympics were here in 1984. In fact, my neighbor photographed them. He is a photographer. 1982. Sorry, 1982. Thank you for correcting that. But yeah, Olympics. Anyways, it's good. I'm reading your comments. I'm like, is it 82? Is it 84? What is it? Anyways, okay. So a couple of things have happened since we have last. All. Oh, oy vey. Come on. You gotta be kidding me. Somebody just was trying to share something with me and I'm like, oh, okay. Oy vey. Hang on, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to help this person out. I have a friend who's lost, much like I am. There we go. Okay, great. That's done. That's interesting. Sorry. How does somebody have access to my computer? This is a very weird thing. I'm gonna have to figure this. Anyways, sorry guys. Had a little bit of a moment here. I'm looking at my messages going, who is okay. We've had quite a week over here. Anyways, on Friday, Karen Reed had a retrial dismissal of charges here. A dismissal hearing. Yeah, I think I have food poisoning. Not gonna lie. There's Karen. Yeah, so Karen Reed had a dismissal conference on Friday. We aired it here on the channel. I had pulled an all-nighter working on a project and I was pretty much dead to the world that day. I popped on for a little bit. I would like to look at some of that if y'all feel so inclined. We're going to see if there is an update on our wonderful favorite Canton Confidential that we can watch. Of course. Why would this? Nope. Come on, man. This is. Oy vey, what a day. Okay. Here we go. Updated. Okay, here we go. We're going to watch this. Again, I apologize. For those of you tuning in, I think I have food poisoning. It happened about 3 or 4 minutes before I started this live. So, yeah. Is this what I want? Yeah, this is what I want. So I'm a little out of it. And for that, I am sorry. Oh, come on, man. Come on, computer. Cooperate with me. Are you... There we go. Oy vey.
Special edition of Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial. I'm Glenn Jones.
I'm JC Monahan. Today, Judge Beverly Cannoni heard arguments about dropping 2 charges against Reed. She's accused of hitting and killing her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, with her SUV, leaving him to die in the snow. During the first trial, her attorneys claimed Reed was being framed by police. The prosecution claimed it was a cold-blooded killing. A retrial is scheduled for January.
You'll recall Reed was charged with second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of the crash. But the case ended in a mistrial after the jury could not reach a verdict. However, multiple jurors after the mistrial declaration have allegedly claimed the entire jury agreed Reed was not guilty on the first and third count, and they were only deadlocked on the manslaughter charge. Here's what both legal teams had to say today in court.
We can't just accept the fiction that the jury was at an impasse on all 3 counts.
There's quite a twisting of logic into sort of a pretzel in order to have the circumstances of this case fit into the precedent.
So with Karen Reed back in court, demonstrators were back outside the court.
Her supporters and critics were out demonstrating today, and we spoke with people from both camps.
We're upset that they're actually framing an innocent woman and covering up to protect a Boston police officer and his family.
I would say the biggest problem with this case was that what was put out for the last 2 years came strictly from the defense side, whether it was true or not. And that came from the defense side, but also via bloggers, YouTubers who decided to jump on this. They saw the dollar signs and start spreading the misinformation and the lies for 2 years.
People are still very entrenched. Let's go live outside the courthouse right now.
NBC 10's Eli Rosenberg joining us. They are from...
And covering up to protect a Boston police officer and his family.
I would say the biggest problem with this case was that what was put out for the last 2 years came strictly from the defense side, whether it was true or not. And that came from the defense side, but also via bloggers, YouTubers who decided to jump on this. They saw the dollar signs and start spreading.
I'm replaying this for a reason. Because not only do I think it's utterly fanciful what she's saying, I mean, I understand her point. I do actually understand her point, where she's saying people have jumped on this and that and the other. This is the problem with social media. A lot of people are jumping on this. Okay, look, a lot of people, Karen Reed supporters, there's a lot of misinformation that was spread. There was a lot of this. There was a lot of that. The prosecution, the problem with this is the prosecution was able to go into the courtroom and present their case. They had 9 weeks, 9 weeks to present their case and 68 different witnesses that they called. The defense took 4 days. The prosecution did not win over the jury. They did not present credible evidence beyond the shred of a reasonable doubt that she was guilty. So it doesn't matter what we think on the internet, what people post, whoever posts, whatever they talk about, what they think, this, that, and the other, this misinformation, that does not come into the courtroom. And sure, the jury members are not supposed to look at social media, and maybe they could have been swayed if they were looking, but that's not what they're supposed to do. They're instructed to not look at anything, to judge the case on the merits of what is presented to them in court. That is the fault of the prosecution. This is not the fault of people who are talking about it, who are blogging about it, who are making YouTube videos about it, who are saying free Karen Reed. I presented the case against Karen Reed, I feel, in a very pragmatic, open, subjective sort of way. I had people on. Some people thought it was a little fishy. Some people thought, no, this is absolutely not true. And everyone in between, I myself wavered a lot, like, oh, could this be a thing? Okay, could two things be true at the same time, etc. But I think, watching the trial, and I watched the last, as you guys know, we streamed the last, like, I believe 3.5 weeks or 3 weeks. The witnesses weren't credible. Michael Proctor was not credible. The evidence was not credible. The feds got involved for a reason in this case. The federal experts got called for a reason. So I understand that people might think, but this is not tried in the court of public opinion. This is tried in a courtroom. So her being upset and blaming people who are talking about the case is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The prosecution should have, if the prosecution had a strong enough case, they would have gotten their conviction. It's just that simple. And if it goes back to trial again, present your case, win your trial. Don't blame people on social media who feel one way or another about it. And I understand that both sides, and it was very polarizing in a lot of ways, but both sides, but don't sit here and try to pontificate and be like, oh, it was the fault of the social media influencers, the bloggers, the YouTubers, the this, the that. That's like blaming the media. Oh, the media created this, the media created that. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. If the case was strong enough, they would have won. End of story.
The misinformation and the lies for 2 years.
People are still very entrenched. Let's go live outside the courthouse right now.
NBC 10's Eli Rosenberg joining us there for more with today's hearing.
Well, JC, things really going back and forth inside that courtroom, and passion arguments on both sides. Out here, it was quite loud. And after all of it, Karen Reed reacting.
Good luck, everybody.
Karen Reed back in court.
Wow, looking good.
Looking to end her legal troubles once and for all. Prosecutors, though, with other ideas.
I'm declaring a mistrial in this case.
The latest courtroom action following a mistrial in Reed's 9-week-long murder trial back on July 1st.
And the founding fathers wanted citizens not to have to face re-prosecution.
Reed's lawyers arguing 2 of the 3 charges Reed faced in that first trial and could face in a second should be thrown out. Reed's lawyers saying they were approached by several jurors, telling them the jury agreed Reed wasn't guilty on 2 of the 3 charges, including murder, but never told the court.
There's quite a twisting of logic into sort of a pretzel in order to have the circumstances of this case. The Commonwealth or anyone wants to try someone who has been acquitted by a jury of the peace or retry them for the same. That's not what's happening.
But Reed's lawyers telling the judge there was precedent, including during the Boston Marathon bombing trial, to call jurors back. They implored the judge to do so here.
Order a hearing, Judge. Don't make Ms. Reed be the first person in the history of the Commonwealth to face re-prosecution for murder by the same prosecutor's office that tried her once and failed to persuade the jury.
Meanwhile, outside of court, hundreds gathering yet again. Those supporting Reed wearing pink.
We ain't got no quit.
And those in blue demanding justice for John O'Keefe.
Justice for John.
The two sides divided as ever.
Karen is guilty, and we're here to support the family and get justice for John.
We're upset that they're actually framing an innocent woman and covering up.
After the hearing, Reed leaving, weaving through the crush of the crowd.
Always strong, always. I will not be broken. You will not break me.
So in the end, the hearing lasting just over an hour, no immediate decision from the judge. She said she's going to take all of this under consideration. And right now, no timeline for when the judge's decision may be handed down. Live in Dedham, Eli Rosenberg, NBC 10 Boston.
All right.
What an absolute, what a nightmare. What a nightmare for everyone involved. Because you have the family of John O'Keefe. I understand people who want justice for John O'Keefe. I understand his family. What I don't understand is how they could have watched the same trial and came to the same conclusions, or came to a different conclusion, rather, or could not come to the same conclusion that most people who saw the trial thought, which is there was no evidence to. There was no significant amount of evidence. Nothing made sense. Why didn't they go after someone else? Which is just, it's very difficult for me to understand, and a lot of people to understand. I know I'm not alone in that. That's for sure.
Eli, we're joined now by NBC 10 legal analyst Michael Coyne and Dean of the Mass School of Law, and of course our courtroom insider Sue O'Connell. Michael, I want to mention to you the last time that we spoke, which was now more than a month ago. You said the defense would have an uphill battle trying to get this motion to be accepted. What did you think of Marty Weinberg, who was on the defense this time? We hadn't seen him before, and the way he presented things.
Marty Weinberg's a terrific lawyer, one of the best in the business. I used to watch him try cases back in the 70s in Suffolk Superior when I was in college. He and his partner have always been terrific lawyers. The problem is we have to work with the law that we have and the facts that exist. I thought he made a terrific argument. He made a number of good points. But at the end of the day, you need to look at what the law says, and the likelihood of Judge Canoni changing this verdict that's been in place at this point, which is no verdict, is very low. Trial judges tend to follow the law. If you want the law to be changed, that's going to take the appellate level. Someone's taken an appeal on this decision.
So, Michael, the way I see it, there are two pillars of our justice system that are at issue here. In the one case, the verdict, the decision of a jury read in open court needs to be final. That is in a box, and we probably shouldn't tamper with that. But on the other hand, the same jury is saying, actually, our decision when we were deliberating was that
I completely agree with that. It left me to the same, like I have no idea what happened. Something went on for 10 weeks. They keep saying 9 weeks. It was like 10 weeks. This whole fiasco went on, and we are all just as confused as we were at the start of the trial. That's got to say something. No clarity in 10 weeks. That's 2.5 months of word salad from the prosecution. Pretty much. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Still just as confused. It doesn't mean that John O'Keefe's family does not deserve justice. They do. Somebody's got to figure something out. Or they're just, it's very sad. Very sad. I like this guy, Michael Coyne. I don't know. I like his suit. It does not look good on this set at all. It just kind of falls into mush. But I do like his suit.
She was acquitted on 2 charges that we were going to say that she is not guilty. So when the judge looks at these 2 boxes, which pillar is she going to say has to be protected? Because in this case, only one of them can be.
It's a great question. The fact is, not all the jurors have come forward and said that we had a unanimous verdict and actually voted on counts 1 and 3. Some have. And so that's part of the problem here is we've got something that's unsettled. The jury in open court gave the judge a note. The judge accepted the verdict. No one questioned the verdict at the time. The defense didn't ask that the jurors be polled, or that if they had a verdict on any of the counts that were before them. It's a difficult decision because a lot of us sit here and say, yeah, but it does sound like they had a verdict on 2 of the counts. Shouldn't the law at least say, did you have a verdict? But there's a lot of law that gets very concerned about invading that jury's space and actually asking them about internal deliberations. I thought Attorney Weinberg made a great point about, well, are we really invading the jury's province by asking about internal deliberations? Aren't we really just saying, what were your results at the end of the day? I don't see it being successful. Simply because it opens a door that I don't think the court is likely want to have open.
So you've been in the courtroom for this entire trial. Here we are back now, almost a month after the original hung jury. Judge Canoni, how is she holding up? And how did she seem when it came to having someone new step up and speak for the defense?
Well, it was a different energy, of course, and I imagine he's appeared before her. I would be shocked if he hasn't appeared before her. He was exceptionally eloquent and really a storyteller without being condescending. He made things clear. She actually looked like she was sitting back and smiling and enjoying what he was saying. Now, that doesn't mean she agreed with him, and it doesn't mean that she is definitely going to say, okay, we're going to drop the charges. but there was definitely a more relaxed attitude you could get from Judge Bev Canoni, just sitting there and following the argument and hearing what he's going to say. And a couple of times you lean forward a little bit like, oh yeah, that's where I thought he would end up. So I think if one can enjoy your job, I think she enjoyed listening to him today. So it was a different atmosphere.
Yeah, he had the hardest argument to make, but he did a really, really nice job.
Yes.
All right, Sue.
I'm very confused as to what happened. What's happening, Blackwater? You're not able to play the video? Is that what's going on? I'm confused. I'm seeing this reboot YouTube. You're not able to play. Yeah, interesting, weird. All right. Let me know. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's get back to more Canton Confidential. Some very good points they're making.
Michael, thank you. When Canton Confidential returns, more fallout from Trooper Michael Proctor's testimony in the Karen Reed trial.
We want to look at the ongoing impact Trooper Michael Proctor has had on the Karen Reed murder trial and beyond. Proctor was the lead investigator in this case. Testifying at her trial, he came under fire for texts that he sent family, friends, colleagues, and superiors within the Mass State Police. NBC 10 exclusively obtained a letter sent to more than a dozen criminal defense attorneys who are handling cases where Proctor was also the lead investigator. We spoke with an attorney who received that letter for one of his cases.
We all want law enforcement to be doing the best they possibly can on any given case. Clearly, that wasn't done in the Karen Reed trial, and that's going to have ripple effects for everybody.
The letter sent by the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office indicates that Proctor was cross-examined on issues such as conflict of interest and bias.
We're joined now by Morgietta Deressier, a criminal defense attorney with the Bay State Law Group. Morgietta, the person who just left the set, told us weeks ago we should be on the lookout for this kind of development. So can you help us understand what kind of injury does Michael Proctor potentially do to other criminal cases that he's been involved in?
Absolutely. And we're talking about ripple effects here, right? When you put a person on the stand in any jury case, they are the evidence, right? This is what you have to rely on. So now if you can't rely on that piece of evidence, what can you rely on, right? You can have your exhibits, you can have other things that put the case together, but testimony is crucial. And so this is going to have negative impacts if they continue to do these investigations, because who knows what else happened in all these other cases.
Do you expect some cases to fail because of this?
You know, I kind of, I hate to put it compared to other cases, but this was like the Annie Dukin, fiasco that happened many years ago. And, it's kind of growing to that, a lot of people might be putting that into question like they did those cases back then.
Just to remind everybody.
That's a good point, Gen Xer. Why wasn't the jury polled? I don't know. That's a great question. If that's something that happens normally, or do you have to reach a verdict to be polled? That's an interesting situation. Again, as we've learned from creators like Melanie Little, for example, and in my discussions with her offline, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is a weird place legally. It is different. The laws are very anachronistic, to say the least. It's so different than the rest of the country. And sometimes I feel like a lot of our laws, a lot of places are very backwards, but Massachusetts especially seems to be a very strange place. I've never watched another trial, but it's interesting how they mentioned the Boston Marathon bomber in the courtroom, as well as the Aaron Hernandez's trial, I believe. Was that also in New England? Maybe it wasn't. He just played for the Patriots. I don't know if the New England thing came into play or not, if his crimes were committed there or not. I'll have to look that up, or maybe somebody can look that up in the chat. Yeah. So if Melanie Little said the jurors couldn't be polled, then she's a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I am not a psychologist. I do not work in law enforcement. I'm just a guy who's been through a lot of shit, as you see in the outro of the video. But listen to people like that. There's law tubers. They know what they're talking about. I think at least most of them do. But Melanie Little would be one of those people that knows what she's talking about. So if she said no, they couldn't be polled, and I would imagine that would make a lot of sense if there was no actual real verdict reached. It was just a mistrial, then they might not have been polled. So yeah. Anyways, thank you, Nightbot, for reiterating what I was saying. Let's get back to a little Canton Confidential.
That she was falsifying some test results that came from labs. Yes, so that people who are incarcerated may not have been guilty at all.
Like the Annie Dukin knows what else happened in all these other cases.
Do you expect some cases to fail because of this?
I kind of, I hate to put it compared to other cases, but this was like the Annie Dukin, fiasco that happened many years ago. And, it's kind of growing to that, a lot of people might be putting that into question like they did those cases back then.
Just to remind everybody that she was falsifying some test results that came from labs. Yes, so that people who are incarcerated may not have been guilty after all.
Absolutely.
We have two other officers that are being investigated related to the Karen Reed trial. That's Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully and Sergeant Yuri Buchanan. As you said, ripple effects, that's two more. So we could possibly be seeing 3 officers impacting cases that has to then send those ripples even farther.
Absolutely. And then the question is, we're still waiting for this major decision, right, on this motion. If you do try this case again, can you even use any of that information or them in the future? Because now you're calling to question the totality of, the crux of the case. You're talking about lead prosecutor. You're talking about people who are heavily involved in these matters. It does make a difference. So you have to be very cautious about that.
In terms of the communication that went out to the defense attorneys, the prosecutor's office, the Norfolk County DA, had to send letters to these attorneys and said, hey, this is what happened. This is the testimony. We're being transparent here. Why did they have to do that?
They do, because remember, they represent the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, right? They're not just the district attorney's office. They represent the people who live in the Commonwealth, and they have to be forthright. They can't withhold this information, even if it makes them look bad, right? And that's what it does. They have to be upfront.
Okay. Georgietta, as always, thank you.
The Karen Reed trial has had a massive impact on the town of Canton. We're looking at the deep scars in this small community. Canton Confidential continues right after this.
Absolutely. Cat loves Catskills. And have a good night, Sharita Hall.
It has been another busy day at the courthouse in Denham, but every twist and turn in that Norfolk County courtroom is felt 2 towns over in Canton.
NBC 10's Eli Rosenberg is in Canton with the impact this case continues to have there.
As another day fades away in Canton, from above, it appears to be a town at peace.
Hey, take your hands off her!
On the ground, though, the Karen Reed case, mistrial, and uncertain future taking a toll.
The town is kind of divided, I think. Everybody has a point of view, of course.
And that division about a case set here, but the focus of international attention playing out in a variety of ways.
But you can see it's got a splatter.
From allegations of balloons full of bleach thrown at homes here, to Jonathan Como, who spent Tuesday night dressed as a chicken, upset by what he says is a lack of transparency by the select board.
Now, I look ridiculous. Yes, I look ridiculous, but I'm not crazy. I'm here looking ridiculous to show how ridiculous their actions are.
As Mark Twain once said, we are all like the moon. We all have a dark side. That.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to back this up.
Allegations of balloons full of bleach thrown at homes here.
Okay. People are throwing balloons full of bleach. This is where this is where that woman who spoke earlier about the misinformation and all that, this is where this comes into play. People going after one another. It doesn't come into play in the courtroom because it doesn't affect the jury and it doesn't affect the case and the evidence presented by the prosecution. But it does affect all the people on the outside going at one another. That sucks. And why is this guy dressed as a chicken? Because this reminds me of what was Guy Ritchie's, and it's not the film, but well, he did the film, but his recent Netflix series, The Gentleman, when the guy dresses as the chicken. Wait, Justice is the chicken? Yes, that's what this reminds me of. This is ridiculous.
To Jonathan Como, who spent Tuesday night dressed as a chicken, upset by what he says is a lack of transparency by the select board.
Now, I look ridiculous. Yes, I look ridiculous, but I'm not crazy. I'm here looking ridiculous to show how ridiculous their actions are.
As Mark Twain once said, we are all like the moon. We all have a dark side that you don't see.
Jeffrey Zeisel is the director of the Center for Health Resources and a clinical social worker. He says this has evolved past interest. You have to move back to a passion. Considering that, there is no surprise divisions can run deep.
So I think part of it's an element of narcissism. It's an element that says, well, you clearly are incorrect because this is how I think.
But this is unprecedented. There's never been a case like this.
Attorney Brian Simoneau says an unprecedented case, bringing an unprecedented reaction for those who feel so tightly intertwined with what happens.
These people come here on their own time.
From using vacation days from work to be outside court, to making signs, to voicing support for Reed,
I hit him. Her words, not mine.
or opposition to every twist and turn in this case.
How does it feel to be known as a cop killer, Karen?
It's unbelievable the damage that this has done to the community of Canton. There needs to be a lot of healing and fence mending, and there will be scars for years left by this case, no matter what the outcome.
And while
again, this is my whole thing with this issue, with this Karen Reed case. The people who are holding on to her guilt are basing it upon her saying, in the moments after seeing him dead in the snow, after arriving back, after being paranoid, probably still half in the bag. Everybody was out drinking that night, probably still half in the bag at that point. Saying, I hit him. Did I hit him? I don't know. Did I hit? Could I have hit him? The whole thing. That's what they're hinging this on. That is their admission of guilt. That's what I don't understand. There's so much. It's just like politics in so many ways. When you see politicians on both sides of the aisle saying, well, this person said that. He had this position 8 years ago. 8 years ago. I change my mind every 10 minutes. I've changed my mind about friendships and relationships in the last 24 hours that I thought, that's done. You know what I mean? So it's, come on. Yeah, somebody saying something, not realizing, and, and then evidence being put forth by the prosecution that does not look any way credible, with their witnesses, that, especially that testimony of Michael Proctor. I don't care if she said I set myself on fire and bear hugged him, and just, I mean, it's just, none of it made any sense. They didn't prove their case. It's the end of the story. Don't be pissed at the Karen Reed supporters, at Karen Reed, at her defense team. It's the prosecution's job to win the case. And a lot of people have commented on this in this chat and on this channel. Well, it's the prosecution's job to find out the truth. And yes, it is, but it's also they need to win. They want to win. Their job is to win too. Yes, we hope that they follow the law, and we hope that they are doing it for the right reasons because they want to find justice for John O'Keefe. But at the end of the day, they really want to win their case. And they didn't do that. So don't be pissed at everyone else because you didn't get your way. It's interesting how this guy talks about the level of narcissism that's involved in this. I'm going to rewind this because this is great. I didn't realize that this was even a thing they were discussing. Let's see here. Yeah.
Move back to a passion. Considering that, there is no surprise divisions can run deep.
So I think part of it's an element of narcissism. It's an element that says, well, you clearly are incorrect because this is how I think.
But this is unprecedented. There's never been a case like this.
Attorney Brian Simino says an unprecedented case, bringing an unprecedented reaction for those who feel so tightly intertwined with what happens.
These people come here on their own time.
From using vacation days from work to be outside court, to making signs, to voicing support for Reed,
I hit him. Her words, not mine.
or opposition to every twist and turn in this case.
How does it feel to be known as a cop killer, Karen?
It's unbelievable the damage that this has done to the community of Canton. There needs to be a lot of healing and fence mending, and there will be scars for years left by this case, no matter what the outcome.
And while there remains so much unknown about how all of this will proceed, the fence mending is underway here in Canton. Case in point, the town is waiting the results of an independent audit into the police department. And talking with the experts, they tell us as long as both sides are willing to listen to the other side, there is a path forward. In Canton, Eli Rosenberg, NBC 10 Boston.
And there you go. If both sides would be willing to listen to one another, sounds like our political system, doesn't it? To be willing to talk and have a little bit of compromise, like, oh, I'll hear your side and you'll hear my side, and let's figure out what the truth is. Not, this is what I believe, this is what happened, that I know. It appears to be corruption at every level, says Lisa. That lady's a little off-putting. Which lady is that? The one that's saying, "We people come here." She's the one who read the rules, though, that I saw. Oh, interesting. Dawned on me. I worked in law for 15 years. I never met a prosecutor that wanted truth. Interesting. To the new attorney, meaning Karen Reed's new attorney, maybe. But I think he's been around. I think he was originally her attorney before she hired Jackson and Yannetti, I believe. Everyone was drunk, and they definitely didn't want that out. Yeah, it's so much around all of this. Appears to be corruption at every level. Karen Reed is factually innocent, and the prosecution is ridiculous. Things would have been conducted differently if it wasn't corruption, or somebody just trying to just do. Yeah, exactly. And as I said when I first started covering the trial, sending an innocent woman to prison is not justice for someone. That doesn't do anything. So it's yeah, well, I mean, they in a lot of ways, you think about that, Gen X, you have to trust the detectives. That's what they have to do. That's why they have detectives that they work with and they bring a case. So one would think that you have to trust the detectives. It's like I trust the pilot to fly my plane too. Or if I'm the pilot, I trust that the ground crew fill my wings full of jet fuel. You know what I mean? So it's it is something where there has to be a chain of command, and there has to be people who have to do their jobs, right? So you have to trust that people are doing that. Anyways, if you guys are just tuning in, I think I have a case of food poisoning, by the way, so I'm not feeling too great. Okay. Anyways, cops and drinking and driving. Yeah, I think we saw that in the trial. They were talking a lot of drinking and driving, leaving badges and firearms and cruisers after a night of drinking. I do know the new lawyer on the defense team had at least one client that was in the Boston Mafia. Interesting. Yes, I agree. Crime spies, law enforcement failed in this case. Only worse one I've seen was Zachariah Anderson. I don't know Zachariah Anderson. Yeah, I'm having soda. I don't have any bitters. I'm having my little soda water, which is a mojito mocktail. So it's minty flavored. It's helping a little bit. But yeah, not too super stoked. Hi, Zelda Bot. The new attorney is an appellate specialist. There's going to be appeal probably more. Oh, I'm sure. Yes, we'll look up Zachariah Anderson. Sad thing is the truth. Yeah, that is also what I pointed out at the very start of the trial. Is or halfway through the trial when I started covering this, was that nobody This whole thing has become so convoluted with the tabloid media conjecture of the social media and the influencers and things like that. People obfuscating the truth, right? Law enforcement not doing the job. Michael Proctor's just ridiculousness. And blatant tunnel vision, laser focus on Karen Reed being the only suspect. All of that was very discouraging. And if you're somebody who really wanted to see them get if you wanted to see them get justice for John O'Keefe, you knew that was pretty much out the window, almost from Jump Street. Ginger tea will help with the tummy upset, sweats, and nausea. Thank you so much. Yeah, I need to get some rest. I'm getting hit with commercials this time. Well, yes, there are commercials. It is how we get a little bit of small amount of money here on the channel. But YouTube places those, not me. Ginger ale. Yeah, maybe I'll get some ginger ale. That would be great. Let's finish out this Karen Reed, this Canton Confidential.
Sue O'Connell joining us again. Sue, you were there. You saw the commotion outside court. I mean, it's the middle of summer.
Great.
It's not like it was a month and a half ago when the trial came to an end, but still a lot of drama.
Yeah, I mean, it's drama and it isn't, JC. It's very interesting. We see the yelling. We see people with the bullhorns. We see them expressing themselves and their beliefs. But at the same time, there's not a lot of interaction between the groups. The police have asked them to stay separate, and they do. So there's not
Maybe I should go out there.
tussles or aggression or anybody getting in each other's faces. But at the same time, there's a commonality that they all share that they keep missing that they share. Right? They all want justice for John Keefe. They just have a different belief on how that should come about. Many of the people I went into the blue shirts, the O'Keefe family supporters, they often complain that they don't get enough airtime. No one is talking to them, but they also don't, some say, want to talk because they don't want to be targeted for being anti-Karen Reed. So I went into the crowd several times. I gave out my business card. A couple of people did talk to us, which we got to share with our viewers tonight. And I asked them, I said, what about how the police did investigating
There are a lot
this?
of
Can't we
bullhorns on
all
YouTube.
agree that maybe the Canton police and the Massachusetts State Police should have done a better job investigating this? And then maybe we can agree on that, and that's something that we can fix moving forward. And some, agreed, and some said, well, that's a distraction. Karen Reed did it, So there's still a lot of movement to get here, but to the point, you get dug in your opinion, and if you don't have a way to keep an open mind, it's going to be hard to change your mind and hear facts differently for both sides, all sides.
Okay.
Very true.
Sue, thank you.
You're welcome.
We know you're engaging with a lot of people online about this case too. How do the online interactions differ from what we're seeing outside the courthouse? That's a topic we'll be tackling in the future.
All right, Canton Confidential continues after this.
I would agree with that, Donna Barry.
Sue O'Connell is back with us. We shouldn't leave before talking a little bit about how the furor started, and that is online.
Right.
Has the engagement, the furor died down since the mistrial declaration?
No.
It hasn't intensified even.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of personal battles that are now happening online. It used to be, I think at the beginning, there were just disagreements about things, but now individuals are angry at each other and attacking each other, doxing each other, threatening defamation suits, threatening civil suits. Much of it is all, not at all grounded.
Just interrupt. I do get a kick out of people who go off the handle, who talk about defamation suits. I'm going to sue you for defamation. I'm going to do this for defamation. Do you know how hard it is to win a defamation lawsuit, and how much money one has to spend, and how much money you would get back from a defamation lawsuit? Like zero. Unless you are a high net worth individual or a celebrity like Johnny Depp, obviously in the Amber Heard trial, the defamation lawsuits, which he lost, by the way, against The Sun in the UK. The amount of money spent on the lawyers versus the amount of money recuperated is astronomical. And you have to be able to prove damages, and you have to also make a significant amount of money off of you have to show very serious impact to your earning potential because of said defamation. So somebody said, I'm going to sue you for defamation because you made a YouTube video about it, or this, that. It's like, Dude, first of all, do they have any money you can sue them for? Second of all, do you have any way to recoup your thing? I don't know much about, again, note, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in law enforcement. I'm not a psychologist, just a guy who's been through a lot of shit, but I have been through these lawsuits before. And I have many friends. I mean, I've worked in entertainment for a long time. It is very difficult to prove. And you have to prove that you make a significant amount of money for what you're asking for. Your income is derived from your personal reputation. It's very hard to prove, and it's very expensive to prove. So yeah, these people talking about defamation lawsuits, they're out of it. They're out of their minds. Out of their minds.
You know, I've had
it's going to be hard for Karen Reed to be able to file a defamation lawsuit. In fact, I think Mark Betterow talked about that in the interview that I did with him about, it was either him or Melanie. I think it was Mark mentioned, you know, like she could sue for defamation. There could be these lawsuits for but it's so, you know, it's so hard to prove and very expensive. And there's also protections. It actually might not have been him. It might have been somebody else, but I also interviewed Nima Rahmani about it too. Might have been that, but it's defamation is a very difficult and tricky thing to prove for sure. And you have to have a significant amount of income derived from your personal reputation to be able to prove that.
Whole spree of folks.
I don't know much, but I know that.
For things that I didn't say, or they misinterpreted that I said. And my view, as you know, JC's known me a long time. I'm from Revere. Just say it in my face, right?
Right.
You know, so I'll go there and walk up to these people that I know, and I say, "Well, you said this about me." And in person, they're delightful and lovely and nice. So I think we just need to remember that we're all real people here, and I think we all want the same thing, which is to find justice for John O'Keefe.
Which is exactly what we want to remember, is that this is about John O'Keefe getting justice for him, getting justice for his family and his loved ones as well. There you see him. John O'Keefe was 46 years old
at the
time of his death. He was a police officer for the city of Boston for 16 years.
He was the legal guardian of his niece and nephew after the passing of his sister. John O'Keefe, 46 years old.
And that's the key to remember right here. This guy. Where is his justice? You know, it's all about John O'Keefe. Oh, now it's copyrighted by NBC Universal at the end there. There you go.
It is.
Well, there you have it, Mover Nation. This is the latest update on the Karen Reed retrial saga, dismissal hearing. Yes, R.I.P. Rest easy, John O'Keefe. I hope his family gets justice. It's going to be a hard row to hoe for them for that. But again, putting an innocent person in prison does not bring justice for anyone. Mover Nation, I do not feel good. As I said, oh boy, I think I have food poisoning. It's so good to see all of you. Thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you guys being here. And remember, tonight, channel members, in less than 1 hour, we are watching on the link. You got to sign up. The link for Collier's AV Club. We are going to watch The Social Dilemma. It is on Netflix. We're going to watch that. It is my Collier's AV Club is a new thing that I started a few months ago. We watch documentaries, television shows together. It's fun. We do it the second Sunday of every month. It's very cool. I am a filmmaker, as you guys know, and I'm very interested in this stuff and sharing my opinions and things. Today's going to be a little rough, though. So if you're tuning in, I'll be like, I don't feel so good. But we'll watch it anyways. It'll be fun. Mover Nation, I want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate and love all of you. And on that note, here's the outro. Mover Nation, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my channel members and Patreon supporters. And for more exclusive content, behind the scenes videos, monthly VIP meet and greets, and watch parties, please consider supporting me on Patreon or by becoming a YouTube channel member. If you like this video, check out this one right here. or this one right here. And don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps with the algorithm. On that note, I'm Collier Landry. I'll see you on the next one. Good girl, Marisol. Good girl.